Okay, so hello class. So today's objective in our lesson today is to be able to define what is symmetry. And in addition to defining symmetry, we want to find out what characteristics make something symmetrical. So our process today to answer those two objectives is to analyze visual images, make a list of examples and non-examples through group discussion, and then finally at the end of class through class discussion. The only materials you're going to need today is paper, a pencil or a pen to write with, and be able to share your responses that you write with your class, with your group. So, before we begin, we need to set up your paper. So, you will need to title your paper Symmetry Lesson at the very top. Also, don't forget to write your name and proper heading. Once you have done that, go ahead and I want you to create a T-chart similar to the picture you see off to the right. Label the left side examples and the right side non-examples. I'll give you a moment to do that. All right. Everyone should have their paper set? Great. Let's move on to the next. Let's move on. Before we begin, I want everyone in the class to make a prediction. I want you, before we look at images of examples of symmetry and examples of non-symmetry, I want you to predict what you think the word symmetry means. Now I want you to write your prediction below the T-chart you just created. You only have to write a sentence or two, but let's see how close you get, because at the end we'll compare our initial prediction, with the actual definition that we come to terms with at the end of this lesson today. So go ahead and write your prediction down. I'll give you a moment to do so. All right. So now that you have your prediction, okay, I'm going to show everyone in here, everyone in class, various images. Some will be examples of symmetry and some will not. If you happen to think the image is an example of symmetry, write the name of the image under examples. And if you do not believe it is an example of symmetry, write the name of the image under non-examples. Does everybody understand what is expected of them? Raise your hand if you don't understand. Okay, let's begin. The first image is the number 9. Is the number 9, in your opinion, an example or a non-example of symmetry? So write the number 9 either under examples or non-examples. Okay, next image. A bicycle. Is this picture of the picture of this bicycle an example or non-example of symmetry? Take a close look. This is solely just right at this time, just a prediction based off of what you think the definition is. Okay, let's move on into the third image. A heart. This is a picture of a heart. Is this an example or non-example of symmetry? Write a heart down under example or non-example. Okay. The number 8. Is the number 8 an example or non-example of symmetry? Okay. Our next image is a circle. Is a circle an example or non-example of symmetry? All right. We have another shape here. This is a right triangle. Is this an example or non-example of symmetry? The American flag. Is this an example or non-example of symmetry? All right. The Jamaican flag. Is this an example or non-example of symmetry? All right. So, those are all the images that we'll look at. Now review your list that you made. After reviewing your prediction of what you thought symmetry meant, compare your list of examples and non-examples with the students seated around you. So I want to look at your group and see how close you guys came to getting the same list of examples and non-examples. So take a moment and share, and let's see how close you guys came. I'll give you a moment to do so. Okay, now comparing the different lists that you each had, now with your group, I want you guys to form a new definition of symmetry and what it means to be symmetrical. Write this under your previous prediction of the definition of symmetry. What do you think it means now after reviewing the different images? What conclusions can you make based off of our pictures? I want you to make a list under your T-chart and predictions of characteristics that make something symmetrical. So I want you guys to make a list. After you come up with your definition, I want you to make a list under your T-chart and under your predictions. I want you to make a list of characteristics that make something symmetrical. What qualities are you looking for? So what makes something symmetrical? What kind of things would you look for? If you were to tell someone, hey, I think that's symmetrical, how would you explain to them that's symmetrical? What are the qualities you would look for? So go ahead and make a list with your group. Okay. Now let's discuss what we all came up with. So now some of our groups may have come up with similar responses and findings, but or we may come up with something completely different. The goal is using our list of examples and non-examples to come to a conclusion of what is symmetry. So as a class, we will write on the board for all the students to copy down the essential characteristics of what makes something symmetrical. We'll also agree on a common definition of symmetry. So, in groups, I want you guys to share what you think is symmetry. So at this point, as the teacher, I would write down their different findings so that we can all agree on what is symmetry, what are the different characteristics of symmetry. One of the last things we're going to do in groups, I want you guys to come up with your own list of examples and non-examples of things of symmetry and things that are symmetrical. So I want you to make your own list, and you can do this right under everything else we've written. Create your own list of examples and non-examples. Think about everything you see. Think about real-world observations, experiences, things you see around you. And in your group, I want you guys to form a list. Everyone's responsible for their own list. But go ahead and make your own list, and you can share ideas with each other to help one another. So go ahead and I'm going to give you some time. Come up with examples and non-examples of symmetry. Come up with at least 5 for each. I want you to find 5. Okay. So at this time we will share what we believe are examples and non-examples. Now everyone's probably going to have different answers. That's okay. And we'll share that as a class. So before the end of this lesson, we'll share our examples and non-examples. By the end of the lesson, we should have shared a final definition that we can all agree upon. And the definition of symmetry that we found based off of our examples and non-examples is something that symmetry basically means having two sides or halves that are the same or very close in size, shape, and position. Now, This is what you would probably consider a dictionary definition. So we would probably have a little bit more friendly, student-friendly definition for the class. Now, characteristics, things we're looking for in objects that are symmetrical. We're looking for words we might want to write down and come to mind, or that come to mind when we think of symmetry is balance, proportion, opposite sides are equal, opposite sides mirror each other. Any of these terms or phrases would work in terms of understanding what is symmetry and what makes something symmetrical. All right, that brings a closure to our lesson. At this point, all students should have seen examples and non-examples of symmetry, created their own examples of written or own examples of symmetry and non-examples of symmetry, and then also we should have come to an agreed upon definition of symmetry and characteristics makes something symmetrical. So the goal is now they have finished the lesson with a concept. They have attained a concept of symmetry, and that is the ultimate goal of the concept attainment model. The end.